Thank you for joining us today on Spiritual Highways with Michelle
and Leanne. Hello.
Welcome.
Well, how was your day? Yours good?
Pretty good.
Good.
It's a little chilly outside.
Yes. Well, I hope if you haven't checked it out, you should totally check out our Instagram. We did our first studio tour.
It's very, very glamorous.
Yes. So it'll definitely give you something to visualize. Sorry about your luck. No. Well, what?
Okay, wait. We have to start at the beginning because you were telling me about a movie that you were watching.
Oh, my goodness. It is a wonderful movie. It's called Hector's Search for Happiness. And it's one of those movies that you, stumble upon. And, one can only watch Eat, Pray, Love, 75,000 times in their lifetime.
At 75,001,
yeah.
You decided to go looking for something else.
So I wanted something that made me happy. So I found this movie, and it started out a little slow, but oh my goodness, it was so wonderful. It's about a guy, Hector, and Hector is a psychiatrist, and he's helping all these patients. And then he decides that he wants to go on this search for happiness. What the project is what makes people happy, and which I think is brilliant, on its own. But one of the things that really stood out to me the most, and he makes a list, and he's writing a book, and I don't want to ruin the movie because I'm hoping that everybody will go watch it now. But one of the lessons that was listening is loving, and I actually had to pause the movie, and that just spoke volumes to me in the sense that I felt like it was new, I never...
You hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, it was I've never...
But maybe not phrased that way.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it made me stop and think, which that in itself, I really feel is probably, Spirit's way, or that's how I always refer to it as Spirit's way of saying, hey, you probably should pay attention to this. You could... there'll be a test on this later. Or there probably has been a test on it, and I've probably failed, and this is why they're giving it to me. But no, I don't know. It just really made a lot. Listening is loving. And so I started thinking about, I'm a very chatty Cathy, talkative, especially if I'm nervous. I will ramble and talk very fast and I'm also a fixer. I want to make things. I want to make you better. I want to use my words, and I am guilty for not listening or listening to respond versus listening to listen. And so all of these thoughts just kept. While I'm pausing the movie, I'm having this huge
awakening,
awakening epiphany moment, and but I started thinking about how many people that I know that are not as talkative as I am, but are phenomenal listeners, which you are a phenomenal listener. But that whenever I'm trying to help somebody, if they're having a hard time and I'm talking to them and I'm trying to fix it, that's my way of showing love. I'm loving that person because I care enough to stop and want to make it better. And that's the way that I show love. But I never looked at someone taking the time to just silently listen. That's their way of showing you that they love you, that they are loving you enough to take the time. Even if
they don't give you any words, they listen to you.
Exactly.
They heard you.
Right. And I'm always waiting for a response, but I don't. The response is the silence, is the listening, is the loving through listening that needs to be acknowledged. And it seems so trivial and so simple, but wow, it's a big deal.
Yeah, well, it's pretty profound when you realize it.
Yeah.
And there's that saying, you have one mouth and two ears, and you should use them proportionately.
Mm-hmm.
So you should speak less than you listen.
I failed.
Well, we all fail at that, I'm sure. I have days, like you say, I'm a great listener. Some days, no, I'm not. Some days I listen to talk or listen to respond. And other days I listen But I am a fixer too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you in pain. I don't want you sad. I don't want you frustrated. I'm like, wait, look over here. Let's put a bow on it. So I think we can all learn from being good listeners and appreciating listeners.
Absolutely.
Appreciating people who listen.
Yeah.
Like they might not give you anything as far as advice, but they heard you. And don't we all just want to be heard?
Yes. And it's funny that you put it that way, because so often when I'm giving messages, one of the things that I find that comes up a lot is the fact that you don't have to. I'm losing my train of thought.
It's okay.
Jeez.
Have another sip of your coffee.
I think I might need it, but it was like profound. But I guess I just didn't.
Maybe it's not time for you to say.
Maybe not. That's very strange. I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay.
But wow, that's gonna drive me insane. I'm so sorry.
It'll come back around.
It will.
We have like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
We're good.
Sorry. Well, anyways,
it's a little cliffhanger in the middle of the show.
Yeah, right. Well, to each their own. I just wanted to throw a loop. I mean, you need to get some fresh flavor and something that you haven't had before, and there you go, people. So, but no, it's just funny how like one little movie or one little happenstance throughout your day could make such an impact in your mind. And
well, it changes your arc of thinking.
It really does. Like, I feel like now there needs to be a day that's like, Thank the Listeners Day. Like, thank you for listening. There's like a Nurses Day, a this and day. Like, I don't know. Too, I think when someone doesn't necessarily respond, I think that they do bring attention. It makes you think. Like, I think that by their not responding, but you're able to verbalize it, you're able to kind of go back and think about maybe what you're expecting them to respond to.
Or you talking it through. Sometimes you're able to come to the conclusion you need to come to, and they just let you get there.
Yeah.
By them just being there and listening, you sometimes solve your own problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you can solve it yourself, you're actually going to make the change. If someone tells you, you should do this.
Mm-hmm.
How many times are we going to listen?
Right.
Mm-hmm. maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come to it of your own accord, then you're going to probably do the thing that you realized you need to do.
That's very true. You're
so
absolutely
active
right.
Listeners, really, that's a gift. To allow someone the space and the time
mm-hmm.
to talk something through and figure out their solution.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense. It really does. But like I said, it just really, it really struck a chord with me. And, I was just talking about in my car, I often will do voice recordings.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things that was in the one of the ones that I had listened to was it was me rambling. And I was rambling. If somebody ever gets a hold of my phone, they're going to be in trouble. I'm just telling you, between my notes and my voice memos, oh, wow, that's a scary thought. But anyways, I was talking about how sometimes you just have to ramble and you have to just speak, and as I'm speaking, you're getting the answers that you need. So it's it goes hand in hand with exactly what you just said, and
well, it's the same thread of thought with brainstorming. When you go to write, your teacher always tells you to brainstorm, or at least that's what my teacher,
mm-hmm.
I remember telling us, just sit down and just brainstorm, just throw it all out on the paper, and somewhere in there you're going to find what you want to write about, or, an idea or something. So whether it was a project or a paper or whatever, brainstorming, and sometimes that could be writing it down or talking it through, but it's allowing your ego to get out of the way, because our egos are the fixers. Our egos are the things that jump in and go, oh, we can handle this. And that those little things cause a lot of trouble for us because we get in our own way. Yeah. And sometimes when you're talking it through or thinking it through, the ego goes to sleep because it gets bored with it because you're not actively doing anything. So you let the ego fall asleep and get to work.
Well, you know what? It's nice too. It's nice too to be able to say, you know what? It's okay to ramble instead of because you always hear everybody say, "Oh, quiet your mind, quiet your mind, quiet." Well, you know what? Sometimes if you've got a mind like me, it's very hard to quiet your mind. So you almost need like a ramble session before. So
and that's good.
But absolutely.
It's a way to sort things and catalog them, process them.
Absolutely. Well, that's what it was. I ran into somebody yesterday that I was talking to about. We were speaking about like quieting your mind, and she said that we got on to talking about meditations, and she says, "Oh, I can't do that. My mind is just, it goes crazy." Which, okay, if you know me, you know I'm ADD as all get out. So. Yeah, there's that. So we were talking about different ways. Like I always envision stop signs, but mine's just not one stop sign. It's like a 4-way stop, and actually it helps a lot. And that's what she said. She gave me the one. Oh, well, I use swipe, like to swipe it. So
swipe it.
You know we're coming from a digital age when you're trying to meditate and you're swiping your thoughts, your thought process. It was kind of hysterical.
That's hilarious.
But it was to each their own. But I kind of like it. I might try to use that next time.
No, it's good. Well, I mean, and also processing your thoughts. Active listeners sometimes may come back around, or they might be very quiet and then have like this really profound statement. And they and then it's just like, whoa. And I think it's because they're not trying to jump in every sentence, every thought. They're really like absorbing it all and looking at the whole picture. And so whenever they open their mouth, so there are some very quiet people out there.
You do that.
No,
you really do.
I don't know. I think I'm a talker, but so I think that those people, they're taking it all in, and so when they speak, you want to listen because it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And I remember like being a kid and a relative that they didn't talk much, but when they did, you listened. And even like Hollywood has characters like that. That you
I know a few people like that. I wish I could be that way. I'm just not.
I love that you think I'm that way, but I don't. I don't see myself that way.
You really are. You really are. You can tell when you're listening. But no, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because it makes me remember and appreciate those people that are like that.
So we should all take a minute and think about those people, past and present.
That's right.
Everybody, all of you, take a minute and think about them.
Yeah.
And smile.
And because it's like I want to call and be like, hey, just wanted to say hi. And if you think about me later, give me a call.
Right. You have something amazing to say.
But it's so true. It's very, very true. I've never been able, I've always had it in my mind, not say always, but, I've thought about that in the past, especially when you see a character on TV, or like you had just said. Right. I can't think of one, but there's a movie.
Right.
And, but I remember, oh man, I wish I could just be quiet, be that person, be that, who's like that is, what's his name? He's from New Orleans, Steven Seagal, I'm not going to say anything, back in the Gap,
right.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to be all nice and cool, but when I do, it's like a word bomb. So, yeah, like Yoda almost. But, so I wish I could be like
so
that.
So we're not comparing Steven Seagal to Yoda. Please don't even do that to me. You're going to wreck me for the rest of the day. I can't even know. We're going to just stick with Yoda.
Yeah, okay, Yoda. Okay, maybe Steven Seagal was terrible.
I can't really, there's nothing prolific. No offense to him. That's not who I think of when I think of intense, meaningful revelation. Unscripted, people. This is totally unscripted, in case you didn't get that.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm dying a little bit today. I'm kind of in my own little world today.
See, we're good. Well, we're in our little cubby hole today.
I think
it's throwing us off because we're like leaning in.
Do you remember a back jack? Do y'all remember back jacks? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a little bench. Think Nintendo days, okay? And it was like had a little cushion at the bottom and it leaned back. I think I need to get one of those. I wonder if you can still buy them. Ours was like vinyl where you can like wipe it off.
I think they call them gaming chairs now.
Yeah, but I don't want like they're so fancy. Like this was just like a piece of rebar that's wrapped in material with a little cushion on it. I mean,
I'm sorry, that was a horrible rebar. Oh my gosh. Okay, we already have a wire hanger. Like I don't know if we need to add metal to the mix.
I'm gonna add that to my Christmas list. I don't need a gaming chair. I just need at the rate, I don't know, Michelle looks like she could whip me one up with this PVC pipe.
Hey, my kids put this together.
And so,
they're pretty handy with the PVC creations.
Hey, I'm not judging.
Hey, it's like giant Legos on a rainy day.
Hey,
I'm loving. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
That's right.
And I'm gonna go home and show the kids, look what Mommy did with your creation.
Yeah. Yeah. You thought you had something to play with. You thought you had a tent.
Mommy took it.
Yes. Nobody's judging.
Hey, and if they are, that's on them.
That's right.
And can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that.
Good.
Okay, so.
It's all planned.
Yes, it's all planned in our elaborate plan that you can tell.
Yeah.
We're so scripted. I have really been struggling the past couple of months with judgments and opinions.
Okay.
Because I never really thought about it before, but I was at lunch in a conversation and someone at the table asked me, well, how do you feel about blah, blah, blah? I don't even remember what it was. And I genuinely was stopped in my tracks because I didn't feel about it. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have an answer. Like I didn't have an opinion about it. I didn't have a thought about it. I literally was just, I don't feel about it. And it struck me the whole way home how freeing that was in that moment, because then we didn't have to have a discussion about our opinions about the subject or other people's opinions or then, a judgment about someone else's opinion about it. And then I realized how much time we spend on having opinions about things. And that, back to my hamster wheel, that can spin out of control, like an opinion about this, an opinion about that, which leads you to a judgment about someone else's opinion about this. And when you think about the age that we're in and we have access to so much at our fingertips, we really could get wrapped up in opinions about everything and judgments about everything. And I really would love if everybody could just take a moment to decide, okay, today I'm not going to have an opinion about anything. I mean, you can decide what you want to eat or what you want to do, but if it comes to well, how do you feel about blah, blah, blah? Well, unless it's about your kids or your livelihood, I mean, if it's just a random topic, maybe don't. Maybe don't have an opinion and see how much of your mind is freed up to think about healthy things and proactive things, because judgments and opinions, I think that's in an old podcast of ours that's working backwards. That's based on information that's already happened. Right. It's not anything proactive. It's not moving forward. And so if we could just take the time to go, I'm not going to do that today, and see how much of your mind and energy is freed up to proactively moving forward in a positive way. Right. I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about.
I do love that.
And maybe listen.
Yeah.
And that could be, but let's circle it back to your listening is loving.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not talking about your opinions on things or your judgment of other people's opinions about things, then you have a lot of free time to be a good listener. Right. And show love. That's right. I don't know. Call me crazy, a little radical.
No, it really makes a lot of sense. And
it's just hardwired. It's hardwired into our systems to have opinions. I mean, it is. They're everywhere. Right. I mean, you've got 24-hour news cycles and, apps and everything. I mean, it is hardwired into our system, so we really kind of have to debug our programming,
Right,
and kind of reset it to not get wrapped up in opinions and judgments, because it's a rabbit hole.
it really is. It really,
And I think it's a waster of time.
time.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's like, what are you bringing to the table? What energy are you putting out there? Because what we put out, we receive.
You're right.
You know, when you put out negativity, you get negative back. You know? So I put out crazy and I get crazy back. But no, but you know, but it makes a lot of sense. It's like, what are we wrapping our conversation in?
Right.
What are you putting into it?
Right.
So, what fertilizer are you feeding it?
And it's true.
But you said, like you said, time is a big. It takes a lot of time to go, and it's exhausting too.
It is.
And you know what? Sometimes you're like, I'm very passive. Like, sometimes I wish I had an opinion more.
Right.
But I don't. And sometimes you get, kind of fussed at for not having an opinion. It's like, I really just don't feel that strongly one way or the other.
And I would rather get fussed at about not having an opinion than get talked about for having one.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because there's so much in life that we have opinions about that don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter how we
throw
feel
it out
about
there.
it. Yeah.
Right. Throw it out there and be okay with it. Okay.
Like just work on I don't know, being a listener, and I don't know.
That's definitely what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to try to listen more.
I'm going to try to listen more.
Yeah. I don't know how successful I'm going to be.
Hey,
I'm going to have like a little rubber band and pop
like
myself.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Well, you know what? On one of my lessons, like on one of my audio recordings, I had recorded several of them. Mm-hmm. And one of them I turned on and I was kind of like taken aback. I was yelling at myself. Like, I was really like just fussing at myself so like loud. And it took me a minute to even like remember when that was, but it was about being so frustrated. And I was so like worked up, and it was all because, I had this revelation, and it's like these things set in. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, like for instance, like I'm listening is loving. Okay, and so I set out on this mission to do this, right? And then before I know it, I'm like back into my old routine again. And I was so upset that I had like kind of backtracked into that little, I guess the hissy fit that I was throwing, to be honest. And so I was just rambling, and I said, why in the world am I having to just keep going back to this? I mean, I learned my lesson, but then it hit me. Like, oh, it keeps coming back because I never learned my lesson.
Yeah, if you're back here, you didn't learn.
Yeah, so it kind of all ties in with the whole rambling. We were talking about rambling this morning, but it also like, all right, here's my new lesson is listening is loving. I'm going to work on listening and not judging and not having an opinion. Yet, I need to make sure that on top of all of that, I remember to go back and put these things into practice.
Well, and if you forget, it doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I failed at that. It just means, okay, try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The key is, it's not necessarily that you get through the whole day having done those things. It's the fact that you wake up every day and you try.
Yeah.
That is the important part. So even if you have an opinion, oh, God forbid we have an opinion. It's going to happen. We have opinions. But if you actively wake up every day and go, okay, today I'm going to listen. I'm going to try to be a good listener and not judge and, not spin my wheels with opinions, then you're trying. So don't beat yourself up if bedtime comes and it wasn't 100%, because anything over 0% is a success.
Well, I would say that even my anger and my frustration from my voice recording that will be deleted, because I was like, wow. Okay.
I do not need to talk to myself that way.
In the end, it was like, okay, I got exactly what I needed to hear. So it really worked out perfectly. So
well, and you going back to it and listening to it.
Yeah. Some of them
that's huge, because sometimes you probably forget to
Oh yeah.
You're like, well, like you said, when did I record this? I don't even remember.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. I've been doing it more often, and it's kind of nice to go back because you see how much progress you made.
That's good.
Like,
That's another
I
good
was
tip.
there. I was there, and I was, but now I'm not, and that feels good. So yeah, I do think that's a very good tip.
That is a good tip. And for people that...
Good tip Tuesday.
That was so clever.
Yes.
That's good for people, people that maybe don't write. People like to journal, but then people that don't find journaling helpful, then use your audio recorder and talk to yourself. And that way you can go back and remind yourself. And like you said, see your progress that you've actually made that you forgot about.
Yeah. Because
sometimes you're progressing, you don't even realize it.
Right.
And you're like, oh, wow, look at that.
I'm speaking of progressing, and wow, I'm just throwing something out from the spirit realm. I don't know what's going on, but if this is something I've never done, so I kind of
I'm looking at you with wide
yeah,
eyes.
she I was good and I was going with it, and Michelle looked at me like, "What are you doing?" Because she knows that I'm not. Anyways,
no, I trust you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm just gonna throw this out there. But if everybody's been kind of feeling pretty overall really good, it's a positive thing. But a lot of I've been feeling a lot of spirit lately, and when I say spirit, I mean there's a lot of energy, positive vibes going on, and so don't be surprised if you're feeling your loved ones next to you, or you're dreaming about them more often. The past few weeks, they've definitely done a little shift, and this isn't something I typically would share, but obviously it was on my chest, so I felt like I needed to. But
you're tearing up a little, so yeah,
like be open to it, because those little moments that you think are just coincidences, or when you hear that song on the radio, or you see the penny or the feather or the butterfly or the cardinal or whatever your sign or symbol is, just know that that's your loved ones reaching out to you, because like I said, there's a definite shift right now, and I guess, I don't know, open portal, but if trust me, an open portal would be a very, very good word for that.
Wow.
So that's something I typically would not just throw out there, especially.
No.
But
and then
I feel like it's
could be
important.
patting you on the back, like.
No, probably not. I don't know about that. But no, maybe that's why I've been kind of scattered brain today. But yeah, I think that it's important for me to say that today.
Okay.
So a little bit random today.
No,
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm not stressing too much. I promise. I'm not.
I know you're not.
No. So it's all good.
It is all good all the time.
That's right.
You just chin up and...
Absolutely. So, well, I hope everybody has really enjoyed. Thank you for everybody who's listened to, especially me and my rambling.
It's good rambling.
Yes.
Our random thoughts today.
That's right.
Till next time.
Yes. See you soon. Beep, beep.